Hello, everyone. I wanted to go through your assignment number one on the strategic marketing management unit. I know we've got a live project, and I think this is probably the first time you're doing a live project with a company that's based in the UK. So it's a little interesting, a little different, a little exciting. The company that we are working with is the Luton Town Football Club. So I think it's going to be really interesting and exciting assignment. So I just wanted to go through and answer some of the questions people sent in at this point in time and make it a bit more clear for you guys on how to attempt the assignment. If you still are not sure about things, you can email me always, and I'll try to answer the questions as best as I can. So if we go to the assignment brief, which is for assignment one, it's coursework. It's an individual one, and we have to produce a slide deck report. Now, there's a little bit of confusion going on about slide deck report. What is that? It's just a fancy word or way of saying PowerPoint presentation. It's worth 30% of your total grade, and 1,800 words is the assignment. Now, what does that mean? That means that that's the maximum you can write for your PowerPoint presentation. Obviously, we don't expect you to write 1,800 words in a PowerPoint presentation, but that's just like the upper limit for that. So what are you doing? First of all, what you need to do is to my Brio here. So that's the strategic marketing management. In this case, this is one of our partners. You know, each partner's got their own login details. You go down to the assessment briefs, and under assessment brief, we go to assessment one, and we have uploaded the recording of the meeting with the Luton Town Football Club. So one of their managers was kind enough to come in and talk to us, answer some of our questions about the Luton Football Club and the way how it works, what are the challenges that they're facing. Now, originally this assignment was something, if you had a look at it, we had given you a list of companies, and these were just generic companies. However, now we have a live company, which means, we're working with Luton Town Football Club, and their manager is giving us, insider information about their organization, about the company. So we're going to replace the companies that we had given you earlier, and we're just going to focus on the Luton Football Club. And within the Luton Football Club, what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to produce a slide deck report. Okay, like I said, a fancy way of saying it's a PowerPoint presentation. And the goal is to develop a strategy for the football club, Luton Football Club. And in particular, they're not looking at any other areas of marketing. So, if you saw the first version of the assignment, we had given you, a whole bunch of things you could write on, find areas of growth or opportunity for expansion or whatever. You had to figure that out yourself. Now we know exactly the area in marketing that they're looking at, which is partnership development. And the club is working on improving its branding and marketing, and we're going to try to help them find out, partnership opportunities. I think at the end of the unit, some of the best presentations, some of the best assignments that you guys do, we will actually take them and we'll go to the club and show it to the club. So I think that's the other exciting part, that you're not just doing the report on some company which has no implications after the assignment is done. We will actually take your assignment and present it to the football club. So you're actually working on a real life challenge for an organization. And I'm not sure if any of you have been watching the Wrexham United on Disney. That's been a popular show. We see there's a big interest in football clubs in the UK from other investors from the US and other places. So Luton Football Club kind of fits in really well with this. It's a club which has gone up and down over the years. But they really want to, grow the club. If you watch the video, you'll get more detailed information about the club and what they want to do. So how should you structure your report? We're calling it a report, but it's really the PowerPoint presentation. It's only 15 slides, that's it. The first slide will be the title, okay? So now you're left with 14. The second slide is about the background, which is the history and what the club has been going through, where it is now. So just one slide on that maximum. Roughly, and this is just a guideline, so you don't have to follow it exactly this way, but roughly slides 3 to 5 would be to identify the current position of the football club. So you can use models such as SWOT analysis, you can use Pastel, Porter's 5 forces, etc., any other tools and models that you want to use, just to give us an idea, okay, where's the football club at the moment. Again, to find some of these answers, the video that has been posted will give you some of the answers. Other information you can find out through research. Go online. You might find some journal articles, but perhaps news articles about the Luton Football Club, how it's doing, where it's at, etc. You'll be able to find it online through your research. Slides 6 to 9 are more description of the target market. So we're looking at, okay, this is the football club. These are the type of partners that they should be looking at. Again, some of the answers have been already given by the manager in the video. The link has been posted. We are looking at taking that information and converting it into things like segmenting, targeting, positioning, brand positioning, brand strategy, etc. Again, you can use different models to support your analysis for slides 6 to 9. Slides 11 to 14 are now about, so you've looked at the club, you looked at where it is at right now, and now you're looking at the recommendations for the future. So where do you think, what do you think the club can do to develop partnerships? So for this bit, you can use other tools and models such as like Ansoff's Matrix, BCG, etc. So in this, we're trying to identify what type of partner should Luton Town be going after, and how will that help them fulfill their goal, which is partnership development. Again, if you watch the video, the manager said they have about, I think, 20 right now, but they want to increase this number significantly. And then the last slide is the references. You can reduce the font size in here if you want to accommodate all the references in one slide. In case you use a lot of references, then I don't mind. You can add an extra slide to it just to accommodate the references part only. But we don't want you to write the core text, as in the analysis and stuff, in slides after slide 15. The last bit, which is an interesting and important one, and I put this at the end, so is this thing here, where we're looking at a competitor, or in this case, it doesn't have to be necessarily a competitor, but it could be a football club that Luton wants to emulate, or they should emulate, or they should be like. And we want to do a comparative analysis. So you don't do this in one slide, you actually do this in every single slide. So if we go back up from, let's say, slides 3 onwards, when you're looking at the SWOT Pastel, again, in this point, you might want to talk about, okay, here's other clubs that Luton should be looking at. Here are other clubs that have done this better, and maybe Luton should be following their example. The same thing when you go through slides 6 to 9, you're looking at targeting, positioning. Look at the positioning strategies of this other club. It could be one, it could be multiple clubs. So it doesn't have to be one specific club, because football is that sort of a domain where you could have multiple clubs that you could set as benchmarks for Luton Town. Again, in the video, if you watch it, the manager has mentioned a few clubs. You can use those as your example. You can add others to it if you want to. And then the recommendation bit, again, a bit of a comparison. Well, here's the best practice. This is the club that has done this really, really well, and we think Luton Town can adopt the strategies that they have adopted. Does it have to be in a club in football? Not necessarily. You could look at other sports if you think the other sports are things that Luton Town can emulate. Although, if you watch the video, I think the manager was saying that he prefers looking at more football clubs. So that's basically about it. It's just 15 slides total. If you break it down, 13 slides in reality, because slide 1 is your title and slide 15 is just your references. Slide 2 is background about the brand, the history, where it's been, where it's going. Then you are applying all the models, and you're analyzing the club. Now, the important bit is you have to give references in this whole assignment. Where do you get the research from? Well, some of the research would be through magazines, to articles. I know this is a football club, so you might not find as many journal articles for this as you would for another assignment that you do. Secondary sources such as, for example, Mintel, TGI, etc., etc. You might get information about this, maybe not. Okay, so you need to look this up. You need to find out where can you find out about the football clubs, English Premier League, the English football clubs in general, maybe European clubs, or if you want to go beyond that, you might want to look at sports clubs in general. Who's really good at it? So that's about it. Nothing, I think, too complicated in this. If you still have questions, you can email me, or you can ask your tutor. They can email me, and I'll try to answer them for you. So the slide deck essentially is a PowerPoint that you upload. Just keep one thing in mind: when you upload the PowerPoint, please convert it to a PDF. There's an option, in PowerPoint, file save as PDF. The reason why we do that is because the Turnitin will not pick up the PowerPoint as a format. Everything else is about the same as you would do for any other assignment. You need to use the Harvard referencing. Obviously, critical analysis needs to be there. Link these to models. Market research needs to be there. The 2 brands we're talking about is Luton with other brands that you think that you need to look at. Just 15 slides. We have given this as a guideline for the type of font that you use. You don't have to use Arial 20. You can use something else, something more exciting, something that looks nicer. But don't make it too big. I guess that's the whole point of this. And don't make it too narrow, so it's like it's hard to read what you've written in there. And also include in-text citation. Try to have at least one in-text citation on every slide, as a general rule. That's about it, I think. At the end, we've given you your marking guide, how to score a good mark in this. The first part is the knowledge and understanding. So in this, we're looking at what sort of models you're using, and we've given some examples. These are just examples, right? So that's why we say such as. What type of models? So it's up to you to decide what marketing models you think are appropriate. And there's no right answer, there's no wrong answer on this. The second bit is critical analysis. It says 30% of your grade. So looking at things like current market trends, the SWOT, the pastel analysis. Maybe you might look at the 7 Ps or the 4 Ps, etc. And finally, we're looking at the application and practice of all of this. So this bit here, I wanted to cut this out in front of you guys because this was in the original assignment and this is no longer needed. Okay, so we don't need to look at create a brand, a logo, or something of that sort. What we are looking at is when we talk about the brand development, we're looking at the partnerships. Okay, so for Luton, their key area of concern is partnership development. Okay, the type of partnerships that they're looking at are both local and perhaps on a national and international level as well. So partnership development, both local and international levels, and in this case, comparison with best practice companies, right? Best practice clubs or brands, and linking the models that you have done to this. So that's the recommendation bit. So recommendations for the club for the future in terms of partnership development. Okay, so that's basically what we're looking at. That's the last bit. And finally, the research, we want you to use different sources. Now, these are some examples, right, that you may want to use: Mintel, TGI Corporate, etc. But really, because this is a live project, it kind of changes a little bit. And it's a football brand, it's a football club. So you might find you get really good information from magazines like, Forbes or Fortune or, I don't know, Sports Weekly or something of that sort. So those are your secondary sources that you'd probably want to look at. Journal articles would be really good, but I'm not sure, how valuable they will be for this particular project. And that's about it. The transferable skills is, really your referencing, your punctuation, your grammar, using appropriate referencing, Harvard referencing, obviously in-text referencing, all of that. That's about 10% of your grade breakdown. So that's about it. I hope this answers most of your questions and concerns. If you still have questions, please feel free to get in touch. Or you can talk to your tutor and they can get in touch with me and I'll try to answer your questions. Thanks a lot and best of luck.